Hello everybody, welcome back to another Mystic Islands video. I really appreciate you guys watching, and today I got something a little bit special for you guys. I have a tier list for you guys, as you can see. I started off with the Skeleton Faction, all Skeleton Faction cards for set 1 and 2 so far. So hopefully you guys do enjoy that one. I figured you guys do like the Skeleton Faction a lot, so why not showcase that one first? If you have a idea of which one you want to see next, which faction, let me know in the comments down below. Also, disclaimer, I only play my game so much. I don't have as much time as I like to play my game. So my opinion on these cards might be different than yours, and if you think I am wrong, hit me up in the comments section and start a little debate. Also, join the Discord, link right on my channel, and you guys can also debate in there. So let's just get this going. Starting off with Clumsy Bones, the first ever Skeleton Faction card. Cost 1 attack, 4 defense with the Decay skill. This card by itself, which is how I'm judging all of these, is just okay. It is 1 attack, 4 defense for 1, which is good though. Problem is it has Decay, so it's going to die in 2 turns. You can use it as a blocker for a moment if you'd like. It'll be a 1-2, I think, by the time your turn ends, and it's just not going to be great for blocking, so you kind of want to use it for attacking or just throwing right in your graveyard, which is probably not the greatest thing to do for a card. So we're going to throw it in C tier. It's perfectly okay if you have the combo, but by itself, it's not really a card that's going to elevate your deck too much. Next up is Skeleton Rogue. Cost 2, 3 attack, 2 defense. Pay 1, kill Skeleton Rogue, and gain 2 health. So health gain isn't the biggest thing in my game. It really doesn't help too much. There's dealing damage is probably a better strategy. But it's got great stats for what it is. 3 attack, 2 defense for 2. It could be just a brute for you, and then if you need, you could sacrifice it for 2 health, which builds your graveyard anyway. So I'm going to throw this one in B tier. It's playable for sure. Depending on your deck, you might not want to throw it in there, but either way, it has good stats. So as a 3 attack, 2 defense, it's not a bad creature whatsoever. Skeleton Warrior is a 1 attack, 1 defense with Obstruct. Now, most of the creatures in my game, I foolishly put Obstruct on the big creatures. But this is a demonstration of what Obstruct can do. 1 attack, 1 defense. Usually can only block 1 damage. But Obstruct obviously allows it to take any damage that's thrown at it. So this is actually very good because it costs 1. I'm going to also throw it in B tier, not A tier, because of the fact it's just a 1/1. So it will get murked by a lot of things. But a very good blocker. Aged Skeleton Soldier is the first rare on the list. Cost 5, X attack, X defense, and those are equal to the amount of Skeleton Faction creatures in your graveyard. So this one I kind of have to judge based off of other cards as well, off of circumstance, because if you just cast this, it dies as a 0/0 with no help. But if you can get this going, it is going to be a lethal card. 7/7 for 5 is pretty good value, considering that you usually pay 1 crystal for 1 attack and 1 defense on every creature for the most part. So this is going to go in A tier, very good with the setup, and skeletons like to die, so it works out. Ghost Rider, costs 3, 3 attack, 3 defense, and you can pay 2 to put the top card in your graveyard on the top of your deck, and you can only use that skill once. So essentially, this guy's okay. His stats are standard, and paying 2 for this skill is a little bit much. If it was pay 1, he'd be higher up. But I'm going to throw him in to C tier. I don't see him being too much of a threat or anything like that. Skeleton Arrowist is a card that I've come to love over the past year or two. Cost 2, 3 attack, 1 defense. When this creature dies, gain 1 crystal to your stash. One of the most powerful effects for anything that costs 2, because you play it for 2, then when it dies you get 1 back, so you essentially really just paid 1 for it. For a 3/1 is very good, especially with the ability of these skeletons to bring it back. This is a very lethal card. First S tier of the video. That card you should throw into every skeleton deck. Undead Mummy Spaz, is one of my personal favorite cards. Costs 3, 4 attack, 2 defense, and you can cast it for 2 chaos crystals if a skeleton faction creature died this turn. Most of the time, this card will be very good, and you can cast it for 2. And a 4/2 for 2 crystals is very powerful. The attack is just crazy good on him. So, and even if you cosplay him, he's still a solid creature with, I think, a higher upside. He can get murked easily with ability cards because of the 2 cost, or because of the 2 health, sorry. But he is still very good. I'm going to throw him in A tier. He has very rarely failed me, so I'm keeping him up there high. Now, standard Skull Soldier is a different story. He costs 2, 2 attack, 2 defense. Okay, he's average. And then he has a drawback, so that's definitely something you don't like to see. He can only attack if your opponent owns at least a creature, which is very likely that they'll have a creature. But if you are taking advantage of your opponent and finally clearing their battlefield, taking them down, you need a last swing, this guy will literally fail you and not be able to swing. So for that reason, F tier for that guy. See ya. Disassemble, cost 3. Your opponent takes their hand and puts it at the bottom of their deck, and then they draw 5 new cards. I see why this card could be considered good, but at the same time, you're not really throwing away their hand, so they can get it back through certain cards in the game now, like Raven the Raider or things like that. So this card isn't as powerful as it would have been in set 1 now, but it is still okay. I'm going to throw it in C tier. There you go. Not bad. It does what it says, and it's not too expensive, so it's pretty good. Colossal Bonebreaker, I have 3 copies here. I don't know if you guys saw that, but these are just 3 different versions of it. It's the exact same card, same text. This card, if I'm judging it by itself, again, would be pretty bad, actually, without the Clumsy Bones in the graveyard, because it's a 7/6 for 7. I mean, it's just bad value. But with the upside of the Clumsy Bones, I will give it the benefit of the doubt, because you can essentially cast it for 3 crystals, and in that case, it's a damn good creature. It's not broken, but it is very good. So I'm going to throw that into, I would say B tier. It's pretty good. I'm going to throw all versions of it just to get it out of here. But yeah, so Colossal Bonebreaker would be in B tier, I believe. Screw it. We're throwing him to A tier. He's pretty solid. Scarce Land Scavenger, cost 4, 4 attack, 4 defense. And you can pay 2. This creature is killed and put a +1/+1 attack and defense counter on target skeleton faction creature this turn, until death, I believe. This card's a little weird. I never really liked this card, and that's just a personal bias of mine. But if you look at it objectively, it is just a 4/4 for 4, solid. But then it kills itself just to put a +1/+1 on another creature. The reason this is because Royalty kind of deals with counters a lot better than skeletons. But this isn't really what you're looking for in a skeleton. Essentially, it's not really going to... I mean, it will help your graveyard a little bit by killing it. But I'm going to throw it in D tier. Just probably something I wouldn't really run too many copies of if I did it all. Death Whisperer, cost 5, 6 attack, 3 defense. When casted, look at the top card of your deck. Either put it back or put it in your graveyard. So this is a good effect, actually. Too bad it's locked behind 5 crystals and 6 attack, 3 defense, which could easily be bloodthirsted. 6 damage is very good, but for 5, if it was a 6/4, it would be, or even a 6/5 would be better. That'd be very good. But as a 6/3, it's lacking a little bit in the stats department, not as beefy as you want it to be. Good effect, but I'm going to throw it in C tier. Undead Collector is a very specific card. So this card is very good in mirror match situations because it essentially takes your opponent's graveyard and throws it in your graveyard, and any cards that are killed go into your graveyard instead until it's destroyed. And it costs 4. Now, this is very rarely going to help you, though. If it's a mirror match, you could easily dominate and get Aged Skeleton Soldier out and cast all these things crazy from your graveyard with Reborn Reaper and just go insane. But on the other hand, if you're not going against skeletons, what are you doing? It's not really going to hurt them unless you have some way to cast things from your graveyard, but Reborn Reaper only uses skeleton faction, so it's kind of going to be tough. You could use Soul Transfer, I believe, or I think that's even just Skeleton Faction in general too. So it's not going to be great. I'm going to throw it in D tier. Has huge upside if it's in the correct situation, but most of the time it's not going to be. So there you go. Struggling Scout, cost 1, 1 attack, 2 defense, untapped, and decay, meaning it enters the field untapped, but it's going to die after 2 turns anyway. This is actually a pretty solid card, and it rarely fails me. It's a very good card to attack around creatures with and throw up a little extra defender if you need it, because he'll be a 1/1, but I'd use him for attacking rather than defense. Also very good because he feeds the graveyard. I'm going to throw him in A tier as well. Pretty good card. Skeleton Cave Dweller, cost 2, 2 attack, 3 defense. When this card is casted, draw a card. If that card is a Skeleton Faction creature, gain health equal to its worth. This card, you don't even know how many times my opponent has played this card on me and pulled a Colossal Bonebreaker from the top of their deck. That costs 7, of course. So they'll gain 7 health on top of getting a 2/3 for 2. That's crazy, but it is the exception. So let's say the average is probably around 3. So you're getting a 2/3 for 2 and gaining 3 health. That's still very solid. I'm going to throw that into B tier probably. Just pretty good stats. It's too bad it's not a 3/2, or else it'd probably be A tier. But it is a solid card, and health gain is important. I mean, I know I downplayed it earlier, but if you can get a big chunk of it for free like that, why not, right? Lost Boneman, 1 attack, 1 defense, my man. He is pretty average. He's not really going to do anything for you. He's not really going to fail you, though, like Standard Skull Soldier. So I'm going to throw him in D tier. Honestly, I might just throw him... yeah, I'll give him in D tier because he doesn't really give you an advantage. He's just a dude. Death Reaper, first leader on the list here. Cost either 6 crystals or 8 health. This dude, again, is very, very good against Skeleton Faction because he can throw Decay on any skeleton when you tap him. So he can take down your opponent's Colossal Bonebreaker in 6 turns just from 1 tap. And that is scary. And 6 turns goes by, that's 3 of your turns, essentially, because each opponent has, it goes your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. That's 4 turns already. So 3 turns, your Colossal you worked all day to get is gone. That would be crazy. But against other factions, it's not going to be as great. But you still have backup abilities like paying 2 crystals to get any creature from your deck, throw it in your hand, shuffle your deck. That's a very good ability, especially when you need your Reborn Reapers or Crazed Scrappers or anything like that. And then you can also, on top of that, once he soaks up 9 damage or however much, as long as he's alive, you can sacrifice him for 10 health on top of that. This alone is going to throw him into A tier. I'm not going to put him in S tier, though. Very close. But I feel like just because of the tap ability, or skill, I keep saying ability, that's holding him back a little bit. But he's very, very solid leader. Crazed Scrapper is one of my personal favorite cards in the entire game, let alone this faction. Cost 1, 2 attack, 1 defense, untapped, decay. He's the inverse of Struggling Scout, and I think he is great. Use him all the time to kill 2/2s that are left up for defense. Just unexpectedly throw out a 2/1 for 1. It's going to die anyway, and you can bring it back with Reborn Reaper very quickly over and over and over and over and over again, and it's going to keep dying for you. Just a great strategy, one of my favorites in the entire game. Throw him in S tier, give him a crown. Inept Troop, on the other hand, is pretty different. Cost 1, 1 attack, 1 defense. While active, alive on the battlefield, you can, if you have another one in your hand, you can sacrifice that one to cast the other one, untap that turn. Pretty good. It also feeds your graveyard, but it's going to basically just burn a card from your hand, and I think I'd rather just have like a Crazed Scrapper or Struggling Scout to cost 1, because it comes out untapped anyway, and it's going to die for me in a second anyway, and I can wait that extra 1 turn to get a guy in my graveyard for an untapped guy, and it only takes 1 card to do, if that makes any sense. So he is going to go into C tier. He's okay. Amulet of Possession, the highest costing card in the faction so far, not including leaders. Cost 8 Chaos Crystals. Beefy card. It's because it's a board wipe. All creatures on the battlefield are killed and go to their respective graveyards. Each caster gains crystals equal to the amount of creatures that are killed, or equal to the amount of the worth that are killed. So essentially, if you have a dude worth 2, a dude worth 1, and a dude worth 1, when you cast this, you pay 8, but then you're going to get 4 back for those combined that just died. Your opponent will also do the same. So you will get some crystals back from this, and I don't think it's as bad of a card as some people let it on to be. It just costs 8, so it's going to take a very long time. But this could help you very late game, especially with the comeback rule. This could definitely help you, but oftentimes it hasn't done enough. So I'm going to throw it into D tier because it's very situational. Once again, it's not really something you want to rely on, but it is there in case you need it. Fearsome Ghoul, cost 3, 3 attack, 1 defense, untapped. Solid creature. He's not a 3/3 like Wizard Outcast is. Not a bad card at all. I mean, untapped 3/1 for 3. The attack is really what you're looking for there anyway. So I'm going to honestly throw him into B tier just because he can't take hits. He's going to die. But with the 3 attack coming right away, he's pretty solid. He's okay. If he costed 2, he'd probably be A or S tier. Soul Transfer, sacrifice target creature on your battlefield and then cast 1 from your graveyard for free and also lose 1 health. For 4, you might as well just throw away one of your bigger creatures, cast a Vermin or something that really doesn't cost much at all. I mean, a Vermin costs 0, and then you could just trade out your Vermin and 1 health and 4 crystals essentially for a bigger creature. This could be worth it if you pull off the right combos situationally. It is a little tough to set up though, so I'm going to throw it right in C tier. If you can get it to work, it can be very lethal for you, I think, getting out big creatures like that. But it is a little bit of a tough thing to set up. You got to have things go pretty right for you. Coffin Collectors, cost 4, another rare. Choose target creature in your opponent's graveyard. That creature enters your battlefield tapped, and when it dies, it goes back to the original graveyard. You're essentially taking your opponent's dead creature that you either made them discard, which is probably the better thing to do, or that you killed earlier. This is sweet. This has helped me a lot, especially when I run out of firepower with the skeletons sometimes. So I'm going to throw this in B tier. Solid, very solid rare. The only thing is it costs 4, so that is a little tough. Skeleton Enforcer, cost 5, 6 attack, 1 defense. This creature must attack every turn possible, and it is untapped. So the untapped is crazy on this guy. 6 damage that your opponent won't see coming is crazy. It will get killed very quickly because it has to attack, but 6 damage up front makes it a B tier card. It does cost 5, so that is kind of the thing holding it back. But 6 damage untapped is crazy. Grasp from the Grave, cost 3. Put a -1/-1 counter on all tapped creatures on the battlefield for this turn only. This is a great card. I love this card. I don't see many people running it, but this many times has just wiped a lot of blood drunk boards against me, and it's pretty great. I mean, I don't even have to attack, and this is basically great if your opponent's being very aggressive, which a lot of Goblin players, of course, have to be. And then Pirate faction also has a lot of untapped stuff as well that you have to worry about. And this is just generally good against all factions as well, and small creatures. It wipes them out. I'm going to put this one in A tier. I really do like this one. You guys might disagree on that one. That might be a little controversial, but I'm throwing it up there. Skull Crusher, cost 4, 5 attack, 3 defense. When this creature kills another creature, gain 1 health. Pretty solid ability right there. Not too bad, but it is a 5/3. It's susceptible to Bloodthirsty. If it was a 3/5, honestly, this would be a very good card. But as is, it is C tier, I believe. The second leader, Azrael, Lord of Rebirth. Either cost 6 or a 9 health, I believe. 2 tap abilities on her. Can tap to kill target creature worth 1. And you also have the tap ability to deal 1 damage to a leader, which is the first time we're seeing this, and 2 damage to yourself. Those 2 are very solid abilities. Very good. You can also pay 1 crystal to draw a card and discard a card. This seems okay, but with the skeleton faction, the ability to draw and then discard is actually even bigger, is discarding. So you're going to get a card, but you're also going to feed your graveyard. So you're really getting two bonuses right there. And on top of that, you can sacrifice her to cast something worth 4 or less from your graveyard for free when you do that. I feel like this is one of the best leaders in the game. You guys might disagree, might think Death Reaper is better, but I'm throwing her in S tier just for the fact that pretty much everything on her is very useful. Undead Buccaneer is again another vanilla type creature, cost 2, 1 attack, 3 defense with no effect. Definitely a starter deck type of creature. That's what I really made it for. But in general, it's okay. It's decently defensive. I'm going to throw it in D tier as well. Probably the same as Lost Boneman. I mean, it's just going to do what it does. And the last creature on the list is Reborn Reaper. Cost 5, 5 attack, 4 defense with Obstruct. Not like Obstruct's really a big deal on it. The big deal is that once per turn, while it's active, you can cast a creature, a skeleton faction creature, from your graveyard for 1 less than its actual cost. And this card has made things go crazy. So this card, in conjunction with Crazed Scrapper, Skeleton Arrowist, Struggling Scout, and many other cards, just give you an unlimited loop of just skeletons coming back from the dead and just harassing your opponent. This guy is definitely S tier and probably my favorite card in the entire faction. So thank you guys so much for watching. I know this is a little bit longer video. I feel like these videos should be a little bit more chill, relaxed, and longer. So if you guys do like these tier videos, I'm going to be making more of these soon. They're super easy for me to make, which is great because I don't have much time as a college student right now. But I really appreciate you guys liking and subscribing. I hope we can hit 400 subs soon, and I hope we can gain more people on our Discord server. I've been gaining a good amount of people recently, so I really appreciate you guys. All right, I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace.